They're just books everywhere at this point. This is Reputation vibes. This is Lover. All of it is Lover. I can go anywhere I want, just not home, and it's as heartbreaking as the song is. All of these books that I'm recommending are just amazing books in general, and you should read them in general, but especially if you love the era, then you need to read the book. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. Welcome to one of the videos that I have planned so much for. Dug deep into my Taylor Swift knowledge, went through all the songs, looked at my bookshelves for hours, and decided which books would represent the eras of Taylor Swift in celebration of her putting out her Eras tour, Taylor's version, on Disney Plus. And it took a lot of thinking, a lot of brain power on my part, but it was very exciting because we are going to be doing a book recommendation video talking about books that I think represent the eras of Taylor Swift. I took into account her songs, her vibe, and a lot of the lyrics of the songs on each era, each album, to decide which ones would represent them the most, which books would. I am wearing my Midnight's Taylor Swift little sweatshirt. We got 10 eras to go through in preparation for Tortured Poets. I feel like for a lot of these, I have like one book and a lot of different lyrics that relate to them. Also, there are some where I have a couple books. Starting off, Debut, her self-titled album. Of course, the first one I thought of was the Chestnut Springs series. These are the special edition mirror covers, and I have not actually finished this series yet. I have read Flawless and Heartless. If you don't know, the Chestnut Springs series is by Elsie Silver, and it is a cowboy romance, and I figured what better representation of Debut, her country era, than a cowboy romance. You're thinking songs like A Place in This World, Tim McGraw, I'm Only Me When I'm With You, Our Song, like all those songs on Debut I feel like could very well represent the Chestnut Springs series. Tim McGraw, just a boy in a Chevy truck that had a tendency of getting stuck on back roads at night. I feel like that would represent Rhett in more ways than one, in a sense of everyone in his family tells him that he needs to grow up, real goals, and he can't be a bull rider forever, but he's just kind of stuck in that mindset. I think it's from Place in This World. Feeling lucky today, got the sunshine, could you tell me what more do I need? I feel like that just encompasses the vibe of Chestnut Springs, of Wishing Well Ranch, which is where this is set on. It's just like the sunshine on the ranch. Amazing. I could picture them playing all these songs as they're riding their horses. I don't try to hide my tears, my secrets, or my deepest fears. Just so cute, and I feel like it describes how these two relationships get very deep, and they talk about the deeper how they feel about everything, how they feel about their life, and some of the struggles they have. It's the small town country romance vibe. So if that is your favorite album, that is your favorite era, I think you would love the Chestnut Springs series. Moving right on to Fearless. I have a few for this. One of my favorite songs that I feel like is so underrated on Fearless is Untouchable. That just feels like such a fantasy song to me, and I'm obsessed with it. I don't know where to put this. I immediately thought of A Court of Mist and Fury. Really just like Reese. I just think of Reese when I hear that song. It's like twinkling stars, it's like untouchable, like a distant diamond sky. I'm reaching out and I just can't, my cat's playing with the spring. I'm reaching out and I just can't tell you why. It's also in ACOTAR, but like I chose ACOMAF because I feel like this is the romance element of Farrah and Reese's story. In ACOTAR, he was just always reaching out to her, making sure she felt comfortable during her trials. That song reminds me of the Night Court, specifically Untouchable. I couldn't not mention that. Some of the other songs, you're thinking The Way I Love You, The Other Side of the Door, 15, those types of Fearless songs, and her new Vault tracks. Could not do a recommendations video without mentioning my favorite series of all time. Magnolia Parks, specifically The Long Way Home. You see how many amazing quotes this book has? I'm obsessed with this book. I love this book so much. I think it's in one of my continuing series vlogs, and it's so good. When I thought of The Other Side of the Door, everything that I want is on the other side of the door. That whole song is basically about like how there's two very stubborn people that love each other so much, but they cannot put their pride aside and be like, open up the door and just talk to them. If you tell me that does not remind you of the scene where Magnolia and BJ were talking on the phone, literally through the door, I would tell you wrong. That is exactly what I thought about when I thought about that specific scene, because I wish I could find it. It's literally that, like, they are speaking to each other through the door and they're just on the phone and they like open up the door and then she's like, no, I can't. And I'm not gonna give you much more context to that because it's kind of spoilers for the relationship conflict in this book. I feel like they represent The Way I Loved You. I love that song. That is, I don't play guitar. I learned to play that song on guitar because I loved it so much. Screaming and fighting and kissing in the rain. Like, you have such a frustrating relationship, but you're so in love that it's driving you insane. I feel like that's them. They try to like hurt and hurt and hurt each other, but they just always come back to each other and they cannot put their stubbornness and their pride aside to come together, and it's so frustrating at some points and heartbreaking. I need to get new bookshelves so bad because everything is falling and I'm stacking books on top of each other. The next era is our Speak Now era. Thinking of the song Mine, Long Live. It's her Poppy album. It's Sparks Fly, Enchanted. We got Back to December on that album, which I love. All love and all heartbreak in and itself because we got Dear John in there, which still breaks my heart. So heartbreak and love, how you need to say the things you need to say. I literally have a shirt on this one. It is my favorite book and it is my favorite song. I will take a picture of me wearing the shirt. I had the time of my life fighting dragons with you. Fourth Wing! Okay, people think this is overrated. I think it's just the right amount of hype. I love this book so much and I couldn't do a Speak Now book rec without including Fourth Wing in this because I had the time of my life fighting dragons with you. And just like a band of thieves in ripped up jeans got to rule the world. Specifically, that I feel like is more Iron Flame. If you read Iron Flame, I have a reading vlog on that I have just like waiting to post, so I might post that soon. I can't say too much, but if you've read Iron Flame, think of Long Live, and it makes so much sense for what Violet and Xaden are going through in Iron Flame. The next one I thought of was actually Hooked, specifically the song Mine, where it says, you made a rebel of a careless man's careful daughter, you're the best thing that's ever been mine. This is by Emily McIntyre. It is a dark romance book, the first one in the Never After series. It was my first dark romance book and I was obsessed with it. It's basically like a reimagining of Peter Pan. The villain gets the girl, the villain gets the love story type thing. If you just have read this book, you know how it relates to you made a rebel of a careless man's careful daughter. So that is our Speak Now era. I'm sure there are a ton more. Those are the two specifically. I'm trying to keep this video a little bit shorter, so I did very specific recommendations for very specific parts of the songs. Next, we have Red. And for this one, I have one, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I was obsessed with this book. I also have the 24-hour challenge on with this book. It's basically telling the story of Evelyn Hugo, who is basically like Marilyn Monroe, Taylor Swift level famous, an actress, like an old Hollywood type thing. Specifically, I thought of the song Lucky One, like that people say that you're the lucky one. She got so famous. She was America's sweetheart and the starlet and everyone loved her. Love is a ruthless game unless you play it good and right. I think that's State of Grace. She went through so much throughout her 7 husbands. She was ruthless, but they were also ruthless, and then she got smart and she started playing the game with them. Red, loving him was like driving a Maserati down a dead-end street, faster than the wind, passionate as sin, ending so suddenly. And I thought specifically of one of her romances, and I'm not gonna spoil it if you haven't read it yet, but there was one specific romance, I think it's like her 3rd or 4th husband, where I completely thought of this. It's fast, it's sudden, but it's very dangerous at the same time, and it could turn very quickly. Also, the big twist at the end. I'm not gonna say the big twist, obviously, but the big twist at the end in the terms of the driving. Your name has echoed through my mind, and I just think you should know that nothing safe is worth the drive. Her big romance twist at the end. I'm not gonna say too much, but I want to so bad. But her big romance twist, literally the last line in the book, I feel like describes that lyric. Think of that lyric and think of her longest love, I should say. And now we have 1989, which I'm obsessed with the fall tracks, by the way. Red and 1989 might be some of my favorite fall tracks that she has. For this one, I have one that has a lot of relations to it, and if you've read it, you know. But that's Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer. This book, I feel like, does not get as much hype as it deserves because I am obsessed with this book. It is a 5-star read for me. A second chance romance, and it is between Jonathan and Kennedy, and basically they had a high school romance. Something happened. They broke up when Johnny followed his dream to go to LA, and he became a very famous actor. He's basically like Marvel level famous now. It's written in past and present point of view, and the past is in Kennedy's journal. Just recommend this book in general. We never go out of style. Of course, that lyric relates to the second chance romance. They're always gonna be something to each other. Suburban legends. They are both legends in their own way. I feel like everyone loves Kennedy and everyone loves Kennedy's daughter. Oh yeah, she has a daughter in this. Everyone knew about Johnny and Kennedy's relationship in high school. They were like classic troublemakers, but they were so in love and everyone saw it. And also, you know, Johnny's famous, and so he's a suburban legend in general. All you have to do is stay. Why'd you have to go and lock me out when I let you in? Kennedy, if you read this book, you know. Kennedy, I feel like could be singing that song to Johnny. This love came back to me, which was This Love, which I love that song so much. It's a second chance romance, and it's just so cute. So cute, their love story. I love it. Was it over then and is it over now? That whole like back and forth, out of the woods type thing where it's like you're broken up, but are you ever really broken up to your one true love? You know what I mean? I recommend this book even if you don't like 1989, but I think that you will love it, especially if you love 1989. This is getting long, but we're getting to the end, guys. Next is Reputation, and for this, I had to think of a dark romance book. Like, I just had to. So we have Scarred by Emily McIntyre. This is such an underrated book. I am obsessed with this book. This book, it's almost a fantasy book the way that it's written. A dark royal romance. But the way that it's written, it's fantasy sometimes. And it's about Tristan. It's a Lion King reimagining, weirdly enough. It's about Tristan, the scarred prince, and Sarah B, who has a vengeance for Michael, who is Tristan's brother and first next in line for the throne. And you know, the brothers have an animosity like Mufasa and Scar does, but also Sarah B has animosity with the royals. That's all I'm gonna say about this book. I Did Something Bad, Why'd It Feel So Good? The villainy in this is so good, and just like Sarah B and Tristan in this, the things that they do that are like not good, but you're rooting for them. And My Reputation's Never Been Worse, So You Must Like Me For Me from Delicate. Tristan is the scarred prince. Everyone knows that he's like the black sheep of the royal family and no one really loves him. They think he's a bad person. But Sarah B comes in and sees past all that. And If I Get Burned, At Least You Were Electrified from Dress. Specifically, that whole vibe of that song and one specific moment in this book. If you read it, you know you know. I want to reread this book so bad. This is Reputation vibes. We have Lover, and honestly, you could do any cutie little romance book for this one, but I specifically thought of any Emily Henry book. We have Happy Place, obsessed with, Beach Read specifically, that I mentioned as Emily Henry books. And then I also just added in Better Than the Movies, because these are romances that I feel like are top tier romances. If you haven't read these, you need to. They are all about the lover vibes. There are so many quotes and songs you can relate to the love stories in these books. To just go through some lyrics, we have a Cruel Summer. I love you, ain't that the worst thing you ever heard? If you know, you know. I've loved you 3 summers now, honey, but I want it all. Yes, I hate accidents, except when we went from friends to this, which are all these books, really. Meet Me in the Afterglow. Specifically, I thought of Happy Place during this one, just because the romance and the second chance in this is beautiful. They have that scene in the outside shower. Oh my god, I can't. It's so good. But Now I See Daylight. I only see daylight for Beach Read. She's going through a really dark time in this book, and then Gus comes in and then she sees the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's beautiful. This is Lover. All of it is Lover. These 3 books, if you love Lover, you will love these books. You should read them in general. All of these books that I'm recommending are just amazing books in general, and you should read them in general, but especially if you love the era, then you need to read the book. Finally, we're on to our Folklore Evermore era. Folklore, I decided on Daisy Jones and the Six, but also The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Specifically, let me start with The Invisible Life first, because invisible string. It was an invisible string tying you to me, and I can go anywhere I want, just not home. That is Addie. I can go anywhere I want, just not home, and it's as heartbreaking as the song is. And then invisible string between her and the main boy character, which I will not say. And then we have Daisy Jones and the Six, which is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Again, I am obsessed with this book. Another 5-star read. I love the album. I love the show. I love this book. We're just gonna run off the lyrics for these because I have a lot. I knew you'd linger like a tattoo kiss. I knew you'd haunt all of my what ifs. Between her and Billy, between Daisy and Billy, just all of these relate. Take the words for what they are, a dwindling mercurial high, a drug that only worked the first few hundred times, from illicit affairs, which I think is just a beautiful quote in general. Daisy struggles and Billy struggles a lot with drug addiction in this book. That just is a direct correlation. And also, I give you my sunshine, I give you my best, but the rain is always gonna come if you're standing with me. That breaks my heart when I think about Daisy and Billy. That specific lyric breaks my heart. It would have been fun if you would have been the one. She pulled it like a figment of my worst intentions. She pulled it as a figment of my worst intentions. Yes, that is how Billy views Daisy. I think there's like might be an exact quote in here of how he views her like that. When someone's presence gives you energy, when it riles up something in you, the way Daisy did for me, turn that energy into lust or love or hate. I felt most comfortable hating her. It was my only choice. I just turned to that quote, but I'm sure there's more specific quotes in here. All of them related to Daisy Jones and the Six. 2 more eras left. And then when Tortured Poets come out, I'm probably gonna do a whole video on every song to a book. I think that'd be so much fun. I'm just so excited for it. But talking about Evermore, the book that I thought about, is anyone surprised? Daisy hates The Great Undoing. This book. Julian in this book. Oh my god, I'm obsessed with it. I thought of Tolerate It, but specifically the line, I use my best colors for your portrait. This is literally that. Like this, if you know the quote, this is that. Anything related to art, I'm gonna relate to Julian because I love him. But this painting specifically, if you know, you know. I'm sorry I'm not relating this at all to like the Daisy and Christian love story, even though it's Daisy's book. I'm relating it to Julian's story because that is the one that hit me so hard. If you're ever tired of being known for who you know you'll always love me. That is what Julian says to her. Throughout the series, I'm not gonna say who her is, he's always there, he's always that person that you can turn to. It's so sad. Oh, Julian. I feel like Evermore and Folklore are the vibes of just like a more longing type themes. That is definitely what this book is in my mind. And then our last era is Midnights, and I have an actual video on all of the Midnights. Literally every single track, including the vault tracks, including the Till Dawn tracks. I have a video of it when it came out, and I don't want to reiterate myself, so I'm just going to leave that video here and also linked down below if you're curious about that one, because I go into depth in that video, and just like I have direct book quotes to lyric correlations for every song on Midnights. Go to that video if you're curious for the books I think relate to Midnights. And yeah, that brings us to the end of our book recommendation video for Taylor Swift Eras. This was so much fun. I love doing these types of book recs like in relation to like songs or something like that, because it makes me feel like I'm back in high school, analyzing like literary devices and analyzing books, finding themes, connecting them to other themes, and I loved that part of school. I loved it, and doing this type of research put me back in that mindset, and I had so much fun. Hope that you got some good book recs from it. Again, if you love this era, I think that you will love this book or book series. Thank you so much for watching. This is a lot of information thrown at you. I was probably super overexcited, but regardless, if you got to this point, thank you so much for watching. That's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.